Gomez and Lisa here as we welcome in our pal Joe Convertino Jr. from CH Insurance. Another edition of Survive and Thrive with another special guest this week. Hey, Joe, good morning. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, Gomez and Lisa. How are you this week?
Good. Hanging on and grinding it out. We keep saying that one day at a time, but at least the weather's good, and the opening up of phase one last Friday was a nice mental victory, I think, for everybody.
Yes, it was. And I see, Gomez, we both have our golf shirts on today because I think it's golf weather. Last week it snowed.
Yeah, that's true. It's golf league day today, so
good for you. Good for you. So, guys, we have a special guest, Steve Case, a local product from Baldwinsville who owns Acropolis Development, Acropolis Realty. You guys all know Oh My Darling, Whitney Lofts,
sure.
the Speakeasy. He's got commercial space. He also the 9X building downtown across from City Hall. He's managing that whole process. So, Steve, welcome to the show, and we're so happy to have you this morning.
Good morning, Joe. Thanks for having me. Gomez, Lisa. Good to see you guys.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah, that 9X project is beautiful, by the way. I've been watching that from day one. And I know, obviously, a lot of things got delayed here for a while. But what's the next step on that building there, Steve, long as we're talking about that?
Yeah, we're super excited. Phase one, as you guys know, opened up on Friday last week. So we're full steam ahead with construction again, and now we're shooting for finalizing all the residential units in there. So we're aiming for September 1st start date.
Has it been difficult to show the properties to people? Are people afraid of moving in the right in the middle of this? Have you had to make some adjustments for those folks?
Yeah, it definitely slowed down for a little bit there when quarantine first started, but then it started to pick back up again. And as you guys may know, this is prime time leasing season, so a lot of people's leases are expiring. They want to move into a new place, so they're still wanting to move about and get into the new building. So we kind of had to focus on virtual tour pictures, trying to do showings that way. Last couple months hasn't been easy, but surprisingly enough, people are ready, willing, and able to sign leases virtually, and obviously we'll let them do a walkthrough when the apartments are ready and we're able to meet face to face again. But yeah, we've been doing really well with the virtual showings and the virtual.
Are the rules any different for commercial and residential real estate, Steve, when it comes to that?
No, and we're staying pretty straightforward throughout this process. So we do commercial and residential. So we're still not doing any face-to-face contact, a lot of virtual showings. We've actually had some success over the last month of getting deals under contract, which is surprising to me that people are signing these contracts for residential homes, commercial buildings, sight unseen, with contingencies that they'll be able to do a final walkthrough. And I think the big difference with residential and commercial real estate is commercial is a little bit more financially driven. So if it's an investment property, they're more so looking at the numbers, versus residential, they're looking at that kitchen, bathroom, and how big is that master closet. So it's a little bit different, and I think the commercial world is a little bit easier to navigate without having to walk through.
That is Steve Case from Acropolis Realty. It's Gomez and Lisa here with Joe Convertino as another edition of Survive and Thrive with CH Insurance continues. And we'll take a break here, but we'll be right back on Zoom. And just like that, look at that.
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah.
Zoom. Hey,
Steve, I was going to say, in the commercial tenant world, we talked a little bit off air, is businesses that you lease from your buildings come back. Tell us a little bit, what you have to do to prepare your buildings for opening for tenants to reopen. Is that been a different twist?
It's a great question, because we own a property management company as well. So we're starting to get the emails, hey, we're gearing back up towards opening our business, we're back into the building. And so we're putting together basically a protocol for each building, what we're going to do to make sure it's ready for movement. Because as you know, a lot of the offices have tried to work from home and very limited use of the space. So we're going through each building and working with our cleaners, kind of doubling down on making sure all the handles are sanitized. There's products you could buy to now put on the handles, stepping up our cleaning, doing a deep clean, and hand sanitizing stations in all the lobbies. So we're really focusing on making sure it's a safe environment to work, that people are comfortable coming in and out of the building.
Okay. Now, where do you go for your information with all of that for some of our listeners that, I mean, is that just off the CDC, local government, or HR companies? What do you where are you getting
So
your
a
information?
little bit of everywhere. So obviously we follow the guidelines that come out on the residential side, the GSAR, and obviously the executive order from Cuomo that comes out. But for the offices, we're kind of utilizing our cleaners and what their experience is and what they're recommending that. And obviously, we want to go above and beyond the recommendation to make sure our office tenants feel comfortable back in those buildings. So New York Forward has a guidelines of reopening checklist, if you will, and we want to make sure we hit everything on that checklist. And
Do you have to
Awesome.
submit that to New York State before they'll allow you to open?
no, we don't have to submit it, but they recommend that we have it on file. For all the buildings that we have a reopening checklist that we're going to go through. So it's not a formal application that you submit, but it's good to have on file.
Is that a condition of your license? Because of course you're a New York State licensed realtor, essentially, right?
Yep. So essentially it's for all businesses that are reopening. They would like to see that checklist. And for our residential and commercial business, I mean, we just built out this brand new, beautiful office probably about 2 or 3 weeks before we had everybody to go work from home.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be implementing a lot of these same procedures in our office, and back at limited capacity. So property management has been essential throughout the whole process, but now that real estate offices will be part of phase 2, will be here in the next couple of weeks. We're going to start to open up and make sure that we've got everything geared up and ready to go. And Acropolis face masks for showings and hand sanitizing stations in our building. So when people come in and out, we make sure that they're washing their hands and abiding by all the.
Steve, kind of switching gears. I'm sure Gomez and Lisa have been there. Oh My Darling.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
The Speakeasy. Okay.
Yeah.
You remember I told you I couldn't find it. I was like, where is this? But I understand.
That's the point.
That's right. Take us through when that's going to open. I know you said you didn't have takeout going, but a whole different twist with restaurants, and obviously everybody locally downtown loves your place there. So, what are the plans there and opening, and how you've been handling that whole scene?
Yeah, for sure. So that's my business partner, Ryan Benz, and his wife, Leanne. So hopefully they're going to open up here in the next couple of weeks. Ryan was my buddy from business school, actually, and I got the call. He was living down in Brooklyn, and as a lot of us like to do, we call boomerangers that move out to New York, Boston, DC. They all come back when they want to get married and have a family. And Ryan and Leanne came back and opened exactly a year ago when they had to shut down. So the day that they shut down was their 1-year anniversary. So they opted to not do takeout for the first month here, but I think they're going to start to slowly ramp back up. So takeout will start in the next phase, and then phase 3, when restaurants are able to open, they're going to open up the Oh My Darling and the Fits, but to a limited capacity, whatever the mandate says, 25% or 50%.
Is it 25%? That's what I was gonna.
I think they start at 25 and then hopefully go from there. But yeah, we're excited. There's 16
Good.
luxury apartments above Oh My Darling, and everybody gets credits to Oh My Darling and the Fit, so they're all excited for it to open back up too.
Gomez, have you been into the Speakeasy?
No, I've only been to the Oh My Darling, but I know I want to say Big Wyatt, America's bouncer, at one point was working there. You know who I'm talking about?
I sure do.
Most
people do if they've been. You can't miss him.
Yeah, and I think for a while, I don't know if he's still there, but for a while it was working that door. I think at the Speakeasy.
Sure was.
Yeah, he's.
What about you, Lise? Have you been in there?
I've been to Oh My Darling, but I also have not been to the Speakeasy yet. So, but I want to go. It's on my list. It's on my to-do list, and I'm.
It's an experience.
Yeah. Well, I'm kicking myself now for not having gone before all this happened. So.
Right.
We'll keep
Steve,
tabs
back
on the
to
Instagram account, and they'll let you
yeah,
know when they're back up.
Oh,
Steve, back to the 9X building because you know I love that place.
Yep.
You know, I assume there's got to be a laundry list of people, you know, with applications. Are they coming from, you know, the hot, you know, doctors, downtown people? Where are you seeing the possible tenants, you know, with could be coming in? Couples, suburban
Yeah.
America?
You know, when I first started working downtown, it was kind of the beginning of the resurgence of downtown back in 2009, 2010, and kind of the urban lifestyle of young professionals wanting to come back and work in areas. You know, the American dream, you know, 15, 20 years ago, move out of the cities, get the big house, the big car, the driveway, the garage, the backyard. And now kind of nobody wants to take care, nobody wants to mow the lawn anymore. So probably like 2010, I started to see a lot of the young professionals start to trickle back downtown, and that really started the boom. And you know, it's not unique to Syracuse; it's happening all over the country. Rochester, Buffalo, we're seeing a lot of the same thing. And then in the more recent years, in the last probably 2, 3, 4 years, we're seeing a whole different demographic of empty nesters and the whole wide mix of tenant population that are moving down here. It's not just the young professionals anymore. And we're seeing a good mix of people that want already work down here, that want to live down here, people that want to come down here because it's easy to walk to a restaurant or a shop or a store and
Right.
kind of live there.
I keep telling him, Gomez, my wife and I go, I'd love to move down there. She's like, no way, no way.
She'd love it. You just got to convince her.
hey, Steve, as around the country throughout this pandemic, and not just in central New York, but pretty much everywhere, uh, people are changing the way they do their business. And a lot of people have learned that they can work remotely from their own home. And I've seen a lot of articles and news stories on some of the bigger companies like Twitter, and we've mentioned them before in the past week or so, that all of their employees from now on can work from home, and they no longer have to live in New York City or LA or San Francisco, where they traditionally have been paying like big rents and big mortgages. You see that as an opportunity for a place like Syracuse to cash in on some of the people who may have worked in a Boston or a New York or wherever, and they don't have to live there, but they can still work remotely for the same company and then make it very much more affordable in a place like Syracuse?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we've been saying this for a few years now that we look at the prices that people are paying in New York City and Boston for their office space or for apartments that they live. And a lot of these huge companies are paying ridiculous price per square foot, 80, 90, $100 a square foot. And they can move up to Syracuse for a fraction of that. So I think a lot of companies are going to realize they don't need the office space like they used to. And they're going to move to places like Syracuse that's centrally located. Cost of living is really low. And it's ranked one of the top 10 places to live in one of the studies last year, in a whole bunch of different categories. So I think you're right. And I think that a lot of these companies or people that no longer need to work in the cities would look to move back, like my business partner Ryan and his wife moved back to Syracuse last year because the cost of living. And those people that work at those companies like Twitter can do that from Syracuse. You don't need to be in a city office. But on the same token, I still do think that company culture is important. And what we've done over at Acropolis with our new office, we've made it a really fun, exciting environment. So even though we figured out how to work from home virtually, I think a lot of folks are excited to get back into the office and get back into kind of just with their peers and talk about doing deals and brainstorming and kind of have that personal interaction that we've kind of been the last couple.
Yeah,
Cool.
Hey, Steve,
I
how about
agree. That's what everybody misses.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just walking into Armory Square for lunch or a beer after
Yeah.
work or whatever. So, as handy as it is to work from home, I agree with that. I think a lot of people are, and I know our colleagues are looking to get back into the building here, and we look forward to seeing them. Steve, on the residential side, I think it was just this morning I saw maybe from the Syracuse Realtors, the numbers when the pandemic started of inventory of residential houses dropped obviously a lot, but the sales actually stayed pretty steady, and the median prices of those homes went up during the pandemic in the last couple of months or so. Does that trend look like something that'll continue?
Yeah, for sure. And that's what, same as what we've been seeing with our company. And there were definitely some sellers that were hesitant to put their house on the market, especially not wanting people to come in their house for showing. So totally understand that, but the demand didn't go away. Buyers are still looking to buy these houses, and they may have sold their house. They want to get into something new. Their family might be growing, or they might be downsizing. So the demand is still there. The inventory is actually still very low. So it's a seller's market right now. So there's not a lot of supply, which means that the home price is very strong. So I'm not seeing a huge hit on residential sales, and the prices are staying there. And I think that's because the supply is low and the buyers are still there. So there's still very strong demand. I'm hoping that once this passes in the next couple of weeks and we're able to face-to-face showings again, people will start to be more comfortable with opening their house up. There's probably not going to be open houses like we used to have them, but I feel like the residential sales market is still going to stay strong throughout.
Yeah, that's
right.
what we were talking about last week. Some of the things that you've done through the pandemic will probably still continue, and one of them's virtual.
Oh yeah, big time.
And we're seeing it in the car business. We're seeing it in your business. People are going online, looking at things and saying, we'll take it.
Yep, for sure. And I, to be honest, I was surprised how many people signed contracts without actually stepping foot in the house. I couldn't believe it. And they do hey, before we close, let me go see the house that I'm actually buying. And you've done a handful of contracts like that.
Good.
Hey, Steve, thanks for the few minutes with us here. We appreciate it. It's Survive and Thrive with CH Insurance. And is the playoff quarantine beard coming off, or are you gonna stick with that one?
Maybe another week or so, and then we'll get it.
It's good.
Same with me, Steve. Thank you. I mean, it's great to
Thank
see
you guys
a
for having me. It was great.
local kid making it happen downtown. We appreciate everything you do.
Thank you guys.
Thanks
All
again,
right.
Steve. Hey, Joe, we'll see you soon.
Have a good week. Play well today, Gomez.
Yeah, you too. See you next Wednesday.
Bye, Lise. Thanks.
Bye. Bye, guys.